Welcome to How to Build a Tent. This show is not about tent building, but how to make you successful. My name is Matt Williams. Thank you for listening to the show, sharing the show with a friend, following the show on the social media sites at How to Build a Tent, or you can click the link below in the show notes. You can also email me, matt@howtobuildatent.com, matt@howtobuildatent.com, not like matt@howtobuildatent.com. I probably put that together too quickly and people are emailing the wrong people sometimes. It's matt@howtobuildatent.com. We are part of the Fight Laugh Feast network. Go over to fightlaughfeast.com, put in HtBT like you see on this mug in the memo field. You'll get this awesome mug for free on top of all the other benefits that you get when you become a member. There's the great Proverbs series, there's a bunch of other stuff, but most of all, you are partnering with us as you proclaim the Lordship of Jesus, as we proclaim the Lordship of Jesus, and you are too when you're partnering with us, the Lordship of Jesus in every area of life. And you get to be part of what the Lord is blessing. And indeed, man, there are amazing blessings in these shows and what God is doing and the reach that God is using these shows to reach people around the world. It's truly amazing. I wish I could just read all of the emails and the feedback that we get on this show and the other shows get, so you could take part in it as well. It's just, there's so many, and it's just a great thing. So thank you for supporting us and just watching and your membership and praying for us. Thank you for sharing the show and helping us grow. And as we get bigger and bigger, there's just going to be so many great opportunities. And I look forward to all of them. And I can't tell you how thankful I am for that. And today I have been in just a spirit of thankfulness. And I wanted actually to just start the show with telling, just a quick little anecdotal, or not anecdotal, but just a quick thing on the side before we jump into the main topic about why it's so important to be thankful and how good it is for the spirit to be a thankful person and to make that part of your life. A part of your identity is thankfulness. I was looking through how many times Paul said the word thanks or gave thanks. I'm thankful for, or praying for thanks, or giving thanks to God. And it's just an astronomical amount of time compared to all of the other words he uses in the New Testament. And just even thinking in my own life, the times that I am more thankful, I feel more blessed, I feel more happy. And we're going to get into that today. So instead of just saying a few minutes of it or talking about it for a few minutes and going into another subject, I wanted to talk about this because it is so important to have an attitude of thankfulness. It's so important for us in business and our families, just an all around, in every area of our life, to have an all around perspective of thankfulness. Be thankful for the areas that God has blessed us in all the areas of our life. I probably said that really poorly and I apologize for that. And I know that there are people out there who need to hear this as well, that are a little down or depressed and are struggling with trying to find that spirit of thankfulness. So hopefully this episode is for you and will be encouraging to you, where not only will you be thankful, but you will spread the attitude of thankfulness around. So I want to go through a bunch of different reasons and studies actually that I found when I started thinking about this more and deciding to do a show on this. I feel like I have a hair on my head. Nope, it's an eyelash. It's an eyelash. That's distracting. I'm not cutting that out, so you can all know why I just got distracted. So we're going to go through today a bunch of different studies of how thankfulness actually helps you and makes you a better person, for lack of a better term. And then also, we're going to at the end, I'm going to go through a study by a doctor from Duke who details out all of the different chemical reactions that happen in your brain and the advantage of understanding that, of what thankfulness gets you and how it actually improves your outlook on life. I don't know about you, but there's those super happy people that always are finding things to be happy about, and I correlate that with thankfulness. And they can be super annoying sometimes, and then I always kind of was attracted to the sarcastic, negative, dark, goth people growing up. And as I've become more mature in my faith, it's funny how that's turned, where I love being around joyful people. I love being around thankful people. I love to be around people that are optimistic. And even that has changed. Just being around those kinds of people have changed my outlook. I'm still sarcastic, But it's more of a lighthearted, upbeat sarcasm, if there is such a thing. I want to talk about this. And also, that thankfulness is a key in a lot of ways to get out of self-focused and depression. And a lot of psychologists and other people that study thankfulness and different, thought process and psychology stuff, they always bring it back to yourself. But the true power as a Christian, I know this, and as Christians, a lot of you know this too, is the real power of thankfulness is getting our eyes off of ourselves. And that is the key to depression, and we'll get into that in a little bit, is getting your eyes off yourself. And most importantly, getting your eyes focused on God. And that is the power. That is when it unleashes all of this stuff. And the last thing I want to say before I get into this list is I think a lot about my mentor, Chuck Smith, talk about him from time to time. He always says that God's commandments are his enablements. And also, thinking from a covenantal perspective, is also his commandments are where his blessings are. And when you think about in the Bible where it talks about what you should be focusing on, what you should be thinking about, your attitude, your thankful attitude, and we'll get into that at the end of the show, so stay tuned to the end. It's no wonder that there's so many benefits of being thankful, because it's one of the things God has called us to do, is to be thankful people, not to be bitter, not to be envious, not to be these negative people that are embittered and grumbling. In fact, people died for it in the desert back in the Old Testament, right? But he wants us to be thankful, and we do have so much to be thankful for. All right, so without further ado, let's get into that. Let's get into the list. First, being grateful builds relationships. And if you really think about this, it's really, really obvious. A 2014 study, and these are kind of older, some of these are older studies, but I think there's, a study is a study. Oh, and also, I was thinking about this too. I'm like, I don't really take studies as gospel. I take the gospel as gospel. But I love these because a lot of these are testable for ourselves, or you can be like, oh, it does? So let me try to be more thankful and see if these studies are true. And it's not going to cause you any harm to go out and try to be more thankful. I mean, what's the worst case that's going to happen is people are going to think you're too thankful. So I'm normally not a big fan of citing studies, but I'm going to cite a lot of studies because I want you to try these things. And I believe that, it makes sense. It's true. I think it fits within the framework that we are working in here. But this is what the study said for building relationships. It says that being thankful and thanking new acquaintances makes them more likely to want to pursue a relationship with you. And how important is that? We talk about all the time in business, but in every area, we need relationships, right? We talk about community in common. We talk about social networking. We're talking about mentorships, discipleship, finding people like-minded with you. If you meet new people and thank them for things and find ways to be appreciative of just even a few moments of their time, the study is saying, and I believe it's true, it makes sense, that they will want to be pursuing a relationship with you. And it just totally makes sense, because if you think about it in your own life, right? Don't you want to be around people that appreciate you and are thankful for you and will say that? I mean, how awesome is that in your day? And this is something that I get having a podcast, is people thanking me for the show, thanking me for what I'm doing. It's such a blessing. That's makes this whole thing worth it. It takes hours a day I spend doing this, developing the show, shooting the show, editing the show. It makes it all worth it because I know that people are appreciative of it. And so, too, I imagine you would be blessed by that too. So why don't you be that person as well? Be the change, or treat others as you want to be treated. All those things that make me want to throw up because they're just so overused. But it's true. It's true. When you become a better people person, when you start doing what you would want them to do to you and not wait for them to do it first, people start liking you more. It's amazing how it works. Okay, so, wow, we are 9 to 10 minutes in, and I've gotten through the first bullet point. Build relationships by being thankful. The second one is it improves your health. A 2012 study said people with a grateful attitude experienced less aches and pains, and they felt overall more healthy. And Keep this one in mind as we talk about at the end about the mental state and the chemicals that are released. I think it relates to this. There's separate studies at different times, but I think they're onto something here. And even if it doesn't really make sense and it's more of a placebo effect, I would take a placebo effect that made me feel better, even if it wasn't real, than just feeling terrible. So if this is really true and thankfulness really does alleviate pain and make your body respond better, or it just fakes out your body and it psychs you out, it doesn't matter. If you're feeling better, you're feeling better. So it improves your health according to this 2012 study. Another one says it improves your psychology as well. You have a healthier psychological mindset. And a lot of this is because the opposite of being thankful is envy, resentment, frustration, depression, these negative aspects that totally diminish your joy, diminish your psychological mindset. It makes you not want to be around people wanting to be around you, which isolates you. And so true conversely, being thankful, it helps with that. It improves those things. It gets your mind off of them, and it just turns yourself around. It gives you more of a healthy psychology, or I don't even know how to say that. A mental framework, a mental health. I'll just say mental health. That sounds good. Number 4, being thankful allows you to experience empathy, and it decreases your need of revenge. And this is according to a 2012 study by the University of Kentucky. And let me tell you, there's some social justice warriors out there who really seem to be ungrateful and that need to practice some thankfulness and gratefulness. Get some empathy and decrease the amount of revenge. And if you just think about, the mindset and the mentality, the mental health of somebody who's constantly angry and seeking revenge. Do you think that they even like life? Do you think they even like their situation? They like the state that they're in? No, of course not. And if you find yourself in that way, if you Matt, I have been angry. I have felt resentment. I have been coveting my neighbor. Start practicing thankfulness. Start writing a list of things to be thankful. Start thanking God for all of the things. Just start finding things. Just list some things. And then when you can't find anything more, continue thinking about it and think about and be thankful for more of those things. Number 5, you sleep better. In 2011, a study writing in a gratitude journal 2011 study said that writing in a gratitude journal, I was reading that the title of the magazine was Gratitude Journal. That'd be a terrible magazine. Or maybe it'd be great. Who knows? I'm not going to be negative because that's something I just said I'm trying not to be. So, as you sleep better, according to this, if you write in a gratitude journal before you sleep, it improves your sleep. You sleep better. You have a higher quality of sleep, which if you have a smartwatch or something and it tracks your sleep, you know what I'm talking about there. And you sleep longer. And I love this because there are already great reasons to have a pen and paper next to you when you write down a to-do list, if you're stressing about things, to have a checklist of things to accomplish that you can check off. A prayer journal, whatever that you are using a pen and paper for, all those things are good. And this is one more thing that you could be writing down is things that you are thankful for. And being able to reflect on those and keep them at the front of your mind is a great thing. Number 6, it reduces social comparisons. Being thankful reduces social comparisons. 2014 study published saying allowing yourself to appreciate others' accomplishments instead of resenting them helped with performance. And this study was specifically for athletes, so it was athletic performance. But if you think about it in your marriage, hopefully you don't resent your spouse, but you may, your children, your business partners, your coworkers, if you resent them, it is really difficult to have successful relationships, to perform well in that relationship, whatever the goal of that relationship is, a successful marriage, raising your children to be men and women, being a profitable company, being efficient at your process in your job with your coworkers. It is really difficult to perform well if you're resenting people all the time. Just think about that. And maybe you don't even realize you're resenting somebody, but you could be. Find ways to be thankful. Find ways, this is a bonus bonus question or a bonus assignment. Find ways to be thankful for the person you resent. No doubt God has put them in your life for a reason. And to be thankful even just for that if you can't find much else. That God is using people in your life, especially the ones that are a pain in the tuchus. I don't know why I said tuchus. God's using those people to shape you. And just that alone should be giving you reason to be thankful and love them. Because God's using them to build you up. Number 7, being thankful increases your mental strength. And this was a very fascinating study. It was done in 2006, so a pretty old study. They were studying Vietnam War veterans, and they found a correlation between, again, correlation doesn't equal causation, I know, I'm a statistics geek. But they found that people with a higher gratitude level, the people that were more thankful, they recovered from PTSD a lot better. And they were able to cope with those traumas from war in a better way. And I really like that one, and I really wanted to make sure I added that in here because I know a lot of you, or some of you, you've written to me, are in the military, and I'm no doubt, maybe you yourself or some people you know have been struggling with this. And it's not me saying, oh, it's because you're ungrateful and you should repent and start being more thankful. But that could be a really useful tool, a non-medication tool. Not that I'm always against medication, although I prefer not to use it as much as possible. But maybe that could be just a tool for you if you're struggling with PTSD or know somebody who is. Maybe just walking with them, not telling them, not getting down on them, but just, shaping a conversation or leading a conversation down a way where you can talk about the things you're thankful for. And according to the study, and I mean, I don't have PTSD, so I can't relate to this, but maybe it's something worth trying, is to think about the things that God has done in your life and to be thankful for. My heart goes out to you guys with PTSD. I have a lot of friends that have been from Afghanistan and Iraq and deal with that stuff, and it's no fun. Okay, so this is the most interesting part of this whole little study I did on thankfulness. And this guy is, I'm going to just call him Dr. MD, and that's his initials because there's no way I can spell his name, pronounce his name. I couldn't spell his name if I didn't have it right in front of me. But he said, if thankfulness was a drug, or were a drug, it would be the world's best-selling product with a health maintenance indication for every major organ system. So basically, it would be a drug that can help every organ in your body. And he goes through and he talks about all the different ways. And you're like, well, what are you talking about? Just positive thinking and being thankful is going to help your body? Well, listen to this. Studies show multiple effects on the body and brain systems. And I'm probably going to pronounce some of these poorly, so I apologize. But it positively affects your mood neurotransmitters, your reproductive hormones, boost the testosterone when you're more thankful. Guys, if you're looking to have some children, start being thankful. Social bonding hormones, oxytocin, that's a really interesting one. I know oxytocin from a speech class where my speech coach was talking about when you have stress and you are feeling like that nervousness before you have part of the stress hormones you get is oxytocin, and it makes you really cuddly and makes you all want to be near people and like get affirmation. That's how I know oxytocin, which is really interesting that it improves that and it releases those chemicals of being close to people. And again, it goes back to just your psychological health, your mental health, and improving your health is that release of that oxytocin. So being thankful releases chemicals into your brain that helps your whole body. Here's some more of them. It also helps with your cognitive and pleasure-related neurotransmitters, dopamine. Dopamine, I know this one from the tech world because through giving you notifications, push notifications, the red circle when you have a message, those are all triggering dopamine shots in your brain to get you addicted to apps. And that is one of those addicting drugs where it makes your mind release it and your body gets like a temporary quick fix, like a quick high almost. That's what dopamine is. And then it also helps with inflammatory and immune system, cytokines. I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to spell it. Cytokines. It helps. That's incredible, right? So it helps you with your immune systems, and that might relate back to that study I mentioned earlier as well. It also helps with your stress hormones, cortisol, another one that gets released, and that one is very interesting. And I remember reading a TED Talk about this. And it was this some girl knows some lady. I shouldn't say some girl. I didn't mean it negative, anything negative by it. Some woman, some lady, was talking about her study on that and how you perceive that stress hormone will impact how it affects you in a good or positive or negative way, which is interesting. And it also helps your cardiac and EEG rhythms. And if just in case someone is in the health field, they'll know what that is. I don't. And it also helps blood pressure and blood sugar. So if you're having problems with your blood pressure and sugar, maybe try a little bit of thankfulness. All right, and now this is what this doctor says. The brain's primary reward chemical is called dopamine, like we were talking about. The interesting thing, however, is that we can't feel rewards and threats unless we focus attention on them. I'm going to read that again. The interesting thing is, however, is that we can't feel rewards and threats unless we focus attention on them. Many good and bad things happen in our life every day, but until they come to our own attention, we don't get the neurotransmitter release that allows us to feel good or bad. But there's a twist. The brain doesn't know the difference when it's reacting to reality, fiction, or even past events, which explains why people feel scared while watching horror movies, even though they know it's not real, or they cry when reading a sad novel. Isn't that interesting? That is why you feel scared during a scary movie, even though it's a movie and it's not real. It's because your brain doesn't understand the difference, which is fascinating. Our brain is strange and complex and wonderful all at the same time. Then goes on and says, the brain releases dopamine, which in turn has a positive effect on mood and emotional well-being. Now, this is incredible for two reasons, and I'm going to hurry because we're running out of time. Is one, since your brain releases chemicals based on what you focus on, there's going to be two aspects to this I want to focus on. One is when you focus on the good, you're going to get the positive results of the good. When you're thinking about it, then this is where those positive, annoying people come from that I'm starting to actually like now. The more I become a mature Christian, the more you focus on the good, the more that's going to be front of mind, so to speak, and the more you're going to have those chemicals. Conversely, it's true when you focus on the bad, you are focusing on the bad. That's what's going to be on top of mind. You're going to get those stress hormones, all those negative chemicals released. And this is the cool thing I was thinking about. Is just because bad things happen to you, and if this is true, your brain will only release chemicals based on what you focus on. Even when bad things happen to you, if you focus on the good, you're going to have those chemicals released on the positive. If you keep your mind focused on what is true, what is holy. In fact, let me just read the verse, Philippians 4:8. Whatever is true, whatever is worthy of respect, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if something is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. Think about these things. Even when bad things are happening, even when you feel like a victim, even when you feel like there's reasons to complain, when your neighbor has more than you, when your coworker got the promotion and you didn't, don't focus on that. Focus on these things. And lastly, 1 Thessalonians 5:16, always rejoice, constantly pray, and everything give thanks, for this is God's will in Christ Jesus for you. This is God's will, to meditate on the positive, meditate on the good things, and give thanks always. His commandments are his enablements, but also his commandments are where the blessings of life are found. Have a great weekend. Practice your thankfulness, and we'll talk to you next time.